Imagine growing up in an environment where safety felt like a luxury, experiencing constant fear, being unable to escape, and enduring harm over and over. Complex post traumatic stress disorder or CPTSD often develops in people who have faced prolonged and inescapable trauma. Unlike post traumatic stress disorder, which might result from a single event like a car accident or a natural disaster, complex post traumatic stress disorder is tied to repeated trauma like years of abuse, neglect, or violence. In this video, I will discuss the key features of CPTSD. I'm Professor Shania Rathod, a psychiatrist in the United Kingdom. I post educational videos weekly on my YouTube channel. So please don't forget to subscribe and you will not miss out on the next one. So here are 8 essential features of CPTSD. First is prolonged or repeated exposure to trauma. CPTSD stems from events that feel impossible to escape, like prolonged domestic abuse, childhood mistreatment, or living through war or slavery. As an example, a child who has to live in a home with an abusive parent may constantly feel on edge, never knowing when the next outburst will occur. Over time, this chronic fear and helplessness can shape how they see themselves and the world. Secondly, re-experiencing the trauma. Now, this typically occurs in the form of vivid intrusive memories or images, flashbacks, and they can vary from mild, where there is a transient sense of the event occurring again in the present, to severe, where there is a complete loss of awareness of present surroundings. Or repetitive dreams or nightmares that are thematically related to the traumatic event or events. Re-experiencing is typically accompanied by strong and overwhelming emotions such as fear or horror and strong physical sensations. Re-experiencing in the present can also involve feelings of being overwhelmed or immersed in the same intense emotions that were experienced during the traumatic event without a prominent cognitive aspect, and may occur in response to reminders of the event. Reflecting on or ruminating about the event and remembering the feelings that one experienced at that time are not sufficient to meet the re-experiencing requirement. Let's take an example. A survivor of childhood abuse might be triggered by a specific tone of voice, causing them to feel the same fear as they did during the abuse. Third is avoidance of reminders. Now, this might take the form either of active internal avoidance of thoughts and memories related to the event or events, or external avoidance of people, conversations, activities, or situations reminiscent of the event or events. In extreme cases, the person may change their environment, like I have known people to move homes or change their jobs to avoid the reminders. As an example, someone abused at home might refuse to visit their childhood neighborhood, or they might distract themselves excessively to avoid thinking about those experiences and remain busy doing other things. Number 4 is hypervigilance, or feeling constantly on edge. Persistent perceptions of heightened current threat, for example, indicated by hypervigilance, or an enhanced startle reaction to stimuli such as unexpected noises, is one of the features. Now, hypervigilant persons constantly guard themselves against the danger and feel themselves or others close to them to be under immediate threat, either in specific situations or more generally. They may adopt new behaviors designed to ensure safety, like they might not sit with one's back to the door, they might repeatedly check in the vehicle's rear view mirror. Fifth is trouble fighting emotions. Now, managing emotions can become difficult, leading to extreme reactions or emotional numbness. As an example, feeling overwhelming anger over a small disagreement, or being unable to enjoy activities they once loved. Other examples can be reckless or self-destructive behavior, dissociative symptoms when under stress, and emotional numbing, particularly the inability to experience pleasure or positive emotions. Number 6, negative beliefs about oneself. This is about persistent beliefs about oneself as diminished, defeated, or worthless, accompanied by deep and pervasive feelings of shame, guilt, or failure related to the stressor. For example, the individual may feel guilty about not having escaped or succumbing to the adverse circumstances, or not having been able to prevent the suffering of others. Number 7, difficulty forming and maintaining relationships. Now, individuals have persistent difficulties in sustaining relationships and in feeling close to others. The person may consistently avoid, deride, or have little interest in relationships and social engagement more generally. Alternatively, there may be occasional intense relationships, but the person has difficulty sustaining them. Number 8, significant impairment in daily life. Now, the symptoms interfere with personal, social, and work life, making functioning extremely challenging. For example, the individual may miss work deadlines due to lack of focus or avoid social events to steer clear of emotional triggers. CPTSD often comes with issues like depression, substance use, or physical symptoms tied to the trauma. As an example, an individual may turn to alcohol to numb their feelings of shame, or they might have physical symptoms like stomach pain or headaches without a medical cause. So these are the essential criteria that give us a picture of the struggles the individual faces and help us better understand their journey towards healing. So how is this different from a normal reaction to trauma? So the history of exposure to a stressor of extreme or prolonged or repetitive nature from which escape is difficult or impossible does not in itself indicate the presence of CPTSD. Many people experience such stressors without developing the disorder. The presentation must meet all the 8 diagnostic requirements that I have just discussed. The onset of complex post-traumatic stress disorder symptoms can occur across the lifespan, typically after exposure to chronic, repeated traumatic events and or victimization that has continued over a period of months or years at a time. The symptoms of CPTSD are generally more severe and persistent in comparison to post-traumatic stress disorder. Exposure to repeated trauma, especially in early development, is associated with a greater risk of developing CPTSD rather than post-traumatic stress disorder. Are there any cultural variations? Yes, cultural variations can exist in the expression of the symptoms of a complex post-traumatic stress disorder. As an example, in some cultures, somatic, which is bodily symptoms like stomachache or headaches, might be more prominent, and they are attributable to cultural interpretations of the psychological, physiological, and the spiritual origin of these symptoms. If you believe you or someone you know is experiencing all these 8 essential criteria of CPTSD, please seek help. If you've enjoyed today's video, please subscribe to my channel. The more subscribers I have, the more YouTube gives me the ability to make more meaningful videos. Like it, share it, tell it. Tell it to all the people you know. And thank you for watching.